condition. Have love.
Except for Rupert, who's never hands out.
Well, I mean, that's Rupert. I mean, that's the free entertainment.
Rupert is the free entertainment.
Absolutely.
All right. Are we ready to go here? I think we're ready to roll, right?
Yeah.
We good? Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to 1 Million Cups Orlando. My name is R.C. Williams.
And I am Juliana Ramont, and we are the creators of Sherlock.
Yeah, you guys got to see a sample of that last week if you were here. It was compacted, but it was very, very interesting. So, welcome to 1 Million Cups. Boy, I see a bunch of faces I haven't before. Who is new in the room? Please raise your hand.
Oh.
Wow. Guys, welcome to an amazing experience. A lot of people refer to this as startup church, so hopefully after today, you'll agree that everyone that comes tends to say the same thing. It's an incredible experience. So welcome and thank you for being here today.
And know the fact that you're not in the audience. This is a participatory situation, okay? So you're family now just because you came, right? We get you the first cup of coffee. After that, you're on your own. Coffee's out there. There's donuts. You know what I'm saying? Okay, good. Yeah.
Juliana does this at home too, by the way.
Yes, absolutely. You're home.
Yes, you're home, so welcome home.
There you go.
There we go. All right, so we could not put this on each and every week without an incredible group of people who get together at 7:30 a.m. every Wednesday morning to help plan for this. The fine faces that you see up on the screen there help to make this happen each and every week. That is the 1 Million Cups Orlando Committee. Guys, we appreciate each and every one of you for what you do in helping to make the community go. So thank you very much.
Yeah, that's the one.
That's like, guys, we also could not do this without incredible supporters and sponsors, including Rollins College. Can we get a round for Rollins College? Becky is in the room from Rollins this morning, and we are truly blessed to be in this incredible facility each and every week, consistently ranked amongst the top locations for 1 million cups in the country. Thanks to this great facility. We also could not do this without incredible sponsors, including our newest for coffee today. Keith Whittingham from Arctic's Coffee is in the audience this morning. So this is great because we love the fact that we're at Rollins. So Keith is also a professor here at Rollins and approached us because I think we bum rushed his classroom one day.
He was in 107 for those of you who
Yeah.
know that, we're having issues over there at 107, yeah.
That was me.
That was him. He was the holder.
Yeah, he was a great sport about it. Said, hey, I got great coffee, and so we're very fortunate now to have a partnership with Arctic's.
Well, actually, he's making up for all the students that took cups of coffee from us.
Oh.
Before we got wise to what was happening with all of our coffee.
So thank you, Keith, and welcome. It's great to have you and you to partner here with us today. So. All right, so a bit about 1 Million Cups. We are caffeinated by the Kauffman Foundation, based in Kansas City. Mr. Kauffman was an incredibly successful entrepreneur, was actually the founder of the Kansas City Royals baseball team. And in all of his success, the Kauffman Foundation was chartered in 1989, and their mission is all about entrepreneurship and education. They have an endowment of $2.5 billion dedicated to this function. And one of the ways that they fulfill that mission is through 1 Million Cups. We are one of 180 chapters around the country, and the logic was this. Every Wednesday morning, entrepreneurs could get together and present their business or idea for 6 minutes, and in return get feedback from an engaged audience to help them connect and grow. And that they would do that over 1 million cups of coffee. So the 1 Million Cups website is awesome. You guys check it out when you have a chance, 1millioncups.com. It really is the link. A big shout out to our friends at Vusta. We're normally in 360 video, but in true 1 Million Cups fashion, Spencer and Patrick aren't here today because their business is growing. They're actually presenting at 1 Million Cups Ocala today. So they continue to grow, and I was talking to Don Kirkendall, who's presenting today about this before we got started, is that this truly is the place that you come and grow. We love it when our entrepreneurs who support us go off and do things because that's really what this experience is all about. So big shout out to the guys at Vusta. I know, right? It's a magic. So your coffee today, in addition to Arctic's, is brought to you by Burnt and Ernie. We've got some pretty cool coffee urns out there. You guys probably saw they have name tags next to Jackie Cantu at Factor. Thank you very much, Jackie. That was incredibly cool that you took our vision and made it a thing. Go ahead.
You went to our event?
Yes, Io is in the audience too, I think, as well this morning. Thank you, Io, because I will make sure that that coffee happens along with Wesley every week. So guys, thank you so much.
There you go.
You guys stop it. A couple of reminders, before we get started here. If your mobile device is with you today, please put your phone on silent. I'm going to do that myself, and I will disclaim now. Please make sure to turn it back on when you're done so you don't miss an important call or text. If you need to step out for any reason, please wait until the question and answer segment for any presentation when you need to do so. Bless you, by the way.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
No problem at all. It really does work. That's crazy. All right, who's ready for some great presentations this morning? I think we're now all ready to harass a big supporting member of the 1 Million Cups community. Don Kirkendall, come on down. Big round of applause for Don. So Don has done some incredible stuff with his business Affordable One. Let me go ahead and get to a slide. There we go. That is for you, sir.
Wow. And this is the training class. Which button is it?
This one is forward and this one is back.
Cool.
All
Okay,
right.
I got to figure it out here.
6 minutes on the clock, Don. You are on.
Okay, so this will be painless. Most of you have been here before know that we do insurance. About 2 years ago, we saw a company come into our marketplace from California. Of course, we love California companies. And with monster venture capital money. And watching what they did, my first thought was, that's a freaking joke. Okay? They're now doing anything that we couldn't do right here. And so they got themselves in all kinds of trouble from an insurance standpoint, which is a highly regulated industry. And so back in January, we looked at what they were doing. I said, enough is enough. And started calling people saying, we need some venture capital money. We want to crank this up. We think we can do this better. And in the process of doing that, the pieces that we needed came to us and said, we don't need your money. We're going to private label this whole process for you now. And so, if you've seen integrated products where for small and medium business, their payroll, their HR, their insurance is all one platform. Do it on your phone, do it on your computer. Well, guess what? Those pieces are there. They've been there. And so we decided to put a business on it, go do it, and make money. Did I do it? Yes.
There you go.
So, what's in there is real simple. We already did employer health insurance. We know that business. We know it extremely well, where those guys don't know that business. Payroll, once upon a time I was the VP of Stromberg, did time and attendance. We interfaced to all the major payroll systems on the marketplace. HR, come on. My MBA just happens to be in HR. So this wasn't a real hard choice. The choice was to give it to you in a fashion that you as a small business guy can sit right here on your phone, check your employees can check it, and take a lot of the hassle out of the system, okay? So, we're gonna start real simple. We already have about 200 to 300 employees, we call them, about to come on. So we were all running in place. I don't have to go out and find a lot of new business. We already had that business. So the next 60 days, we're going to focus on 4 to 49, then we're going to bump it to 99. By January, we should be equipped to take on companies of any size. And the only reason we're going to restrict ourselves right now is I like to make my mistakes with smaller businesses, because if you PO General Motors, they got a bad attitude. So we'll start that. Okay. So why us? Real easy. Integrated, independent insurance broker. I can do what they can't do. We had one of the biggest payroll companies on the planet come to us the other day and said, can you explain workers' comp to us? Sure. Guess what? Yeah, we can do that. Can we explain general liability? Absolutely. See, we have that integrated package. We have that integrated business. So you as a small business owner, you don't have to run to 57 places. We're already going to demonstrate to you that we're doing a terrific job. The second reason is cups. We're actually working with 3 or 4 of the people who've given presentations here, and we're going to be utilizing pieces of their products. Been on the phone a lot with the Herd guys, the guy that does that PDF training thing. That thing is fantastic. So we feel we have an advantage by working with people who are already here, okay? We also are not afraid to push the edge. So sitting in your audience is somebody from Community Doctors. If you haven't seen Community Doctors, imagine telehealth on steroids. All right, there's a reason restaurants don't buy health insurance for their employees. That's gonna kind of go away real fast. So in the last week, we've signed up 2 chambers of commerce, and we have an appointment to sign business already to bring in the community doctors package. Exciting stuff. All right, see how easy that was? Painless. Questions?
Well done.
Wow.
I don't know, did Don avoid the wrath of harassing the One Cups
Yeah.
community will give them, or?
Good.
That was a great presentation, Don. So let's go ahead and go to questions. Who's got questions this morning?
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Yes.
First of all, just want to say thank you so much for using the 1 Million Cups presenters within your ecosystem and what you're doing. You know, being able to use people that have presented here and have businesses, I mean, that's exactly what we do. We've integrated, right?
Yeah.
Because we're in a prime position to be able to say, I saw you first when you were no one, and I gave you credibility to what your platform is, and I integrated into what I'm doing within my company. That's really huge. So, you know, as a 1 Million Cups facilitator, and how much you know I love 1 Million Cups, I love what you've done. And that's all I really want to say. Thank you.
We appreciate it greatly. About 3 weeks ago, one of the guys was in there presenting, and we're trying to buy what he's trying to sell. And we're trying to explain to him why I can't buy what he's selling because he's selling it backwards. Make it easier for me to write you a check. I'm a good guy. It works, right? I want to buy some of this stuff. And so, it's been great because he's changed his product a lot in the
Because
last
of
2
the
weeks.
influence. Well, before William left with Proper Channel, I signed my company up with Proper Channel, and it's made a huge world of a difference so that I can see processes. I'm even doing the processes for 1 Million Cups so that, you know, the next committee that walks in can now take over what needs to happen.
He's waiting on me. I love that.
William's
If you
phenomenal.
haven't seen that thing or used that thing is fantastic.
Proper Channel, yep.
I believe he was in Daytona last week too,
Was
so
he?
the Florida contingent of 1MC is strong.
Mhm.
Not your question?
I did not have a question.
Carlos, good morning.
Hey, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just want to learn. That's why this question is more about learning something from you. I love the numbers that you present out there, you know, and the speed that you're probably going to get there. So what is the one thing that you're going to be doing that's going to take you there so quick? That one thing that is going to stand out from everything else?
Well, I know the one thing that's going to hold me up, the one thing that's got to get me there quicker. See, we have specialists in the office for each of these things. You're sitting next to one of them, all right? So within the context of our business, she has 2 areas that she lives in. And so what's going to get me there is that expertise level. As I said, one of the largest companies on the planet came in, and the guy's trying to sell something to somebody, but he doesn't understand this other piece.
Thank you.
Question from here. We got it over here. Good morning, Denny. Go ahead, please.
Good morning. Cost, is it going to be a standard thing, or is this going to be all over the place based on the number of employees? And obviously, insurance can be just about anything. How's that going to work?
Here's the fun part of this. I have a saying, live by price, die by price. Okay, I'm listening to Grant Cardone last night, and he's doing my pitch all over the place, which is push the price. I was in the computer business, the race to the bottom, because they blew out all their profits. The guys out of California started giving away the HR and payroll because they were going to suck up the money on insurance. And the reason is insurance is regulated. I don't get to play with that at all, okay? And so it was a nice idea they had, but then see, they're funded by venture capitalists. I'm not. I'm funded by Don. And he's a tough sell. But when I talk to Don, right, and when it comes time to pay rent, so in terms of pricing, can I beat anybody's price on payroll? Of course I can. Do I intend to do that? No. I'm not that stupid. Can I beat anybody's price on HR? Yes, I can. Do I intend to do that? No, I don't. I'm not going to do that. Insurance, I can't waiver. Now, can I play let's make a deal? Believe that. And we believe that by living on the fringe, we're not only going to have the Humanas, the Aetnas, whoever, but we've got all the level funding companies, we've got all the health share companies, which you've never heard of, we have the community doctors guys. We're going to be able to customize a package to people that the monster guys don't want to play with.
Guys, other questions this morning? Question back here. Rupert, take a run for it. Go ahead, Tim, and I'll pass this one down.
I got to admit that, Don, that by progressively going through the steps and making mistakes between absolutely the way to do it, because it is good. But also the thing that you're really saying here, if I'm right, is I'm going to give you a quality product that's dependable. You don't know what you're getting on the other side. And if you're selling the high quality the best there is, you don't have competition to the degree that you would the other way around. So congratulations.
I'm on Loma Avenue. That's the other thing we're saying.
Yeah.
We believe in venture for Florida first. We're licensed in 28 states, but the reality is there are incredible people right here. So if that customer has a problem, he doesn't have to call Sacramento or the 800 number. We got a call from somebody yesterday saying they had a problem in their payroll with this other company, and they got to talk to the guys in Malaysia or wherever it is they're at. No, I'm right there on Loma. I'm easy to find. It's like a real building. Yeah, it's
Really?
good. Yeah. You haven't been.
Yeah, we have.
All right, so
I've been there. Oh.
you're grouping all these together, the HR, the payroll, and healthcare plans.
Right.
Will the business owner pay like one set price?
Yep. Except, here's where it gets exciting. He can pay me one set price, but legally he has to pay that insurance company a specific number. The rest of it I can take care of. Or, as we progress further, what he's gonna discover is he's gonna pay less for the rest of it.
Okay, so by law, I mean, he'd be paying you
Well,
two
he-
checks then.
Let's just say two
You
for
can't
sure.
take that money and pay
Right,
the
I can't
insurance
take your
company.
Aetna money and pay it to Aetna, that gives
Right.
me a legal problem.
Okay.
Not that I wouldn't do it, I'd love to do it. but
Sure, I understand. I'm an insurance broker as well, so I understand.
However, there are other areas where we can do that. Community doctors, theoretically, we could take, it gets down to an accounting and how you want to do it, how you want to work it.
Sure, there's a lot of gray area.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go to Dr. McComas, and then we'll come down.
So Don, you had mentioned, you had mentioned that in one question that you knew what was holding you back.
Right.
So what are your biggest challenges here?
I gotta go find some bodies who understand consultative selling. Okay? Very difficult. And you and I have discussed, we're in continuous training mode and getting people to pick up on that process and actually execute. Execution is everything at this level.
Scott, would you pass that down?
Actually, I had a question too.
Uh-oh. So you've been holding them back.
So, one of the things that I focus on with people is what's their unfair advantage? You know, what help? Why would I come to you instead of any of the other 10,000 insurance companies and agents in the area? So,
What? When we talk to the customers who come to us, realistically, in our business, the products are all the same. Okay? There is no different product in that sense. It comes down to a matter of expertise. Now, as I said, I have one of my employees here now. Ask her the amount of time we spend on her training on a continuous level. Because realistically, I'm in a lunch yesterday, and a woman next to me sells Medicare plans. We sell Medicare plans. We get into a discussion, okay? There's a really good reason she's never going to be part of our organization, okay? Because we're not working out the back of a Buick here. Guys don't pull up to your house and hop out of a Hyundai, right? At the level we're at, we're giving you a level of expertise that I believe I can compete with just about anybody out there. And that's really the difference, because if I screw you up, I can cost you a fortune.
That's right.
And that's something you have to watch out for.
Don, you are superb in the insurance arena, you've already been there. Where are you getting your tools to provide the HR or the payroll? Are you using somebody else's existing product?
Yes, we're private labeling that whole thing. They brought that stuff to us. They brought the platform, they brought the HR, they brought the payroll, because they've known us for years, and they're like, okay, because we've talked about this forever. We used to own our own payroll accounting company. Sold it. And so, do I know that business? Yes, I know that business.
So you're processing the payroll for them,
No.
inputting and everything? or-
Now, I'm gonna give you an online platform, okay? We're gonna bring the people up to speed, okay? Then when you turn in your time, you'll turn it in, you'll get your, everything's gonna have our name on it. Will we eventually write our own payroll? We could, okay? But right now, why should I spend that money when these folks with top-line products, not second-line products, these are, the people that have come to us are already in the top 5 or 6 in that field. They're looking for ways to move their product, and it's not working the way they thought it would.
And last question for the small business person, is your payroll system connected to QuickBooks?
That is a fantastic question. I found out the other day that I could interface all this into ADP, Paychex, and Paylocity, which was brand new to me. So a customer who already has that, we can go to them and give them the whole platform. The QuickBooks situation, I gotta check them.
Is that what most small businesses are using?
It is, QuickBooks is a love-hate affair with me.
Yes, I know.
Okay, in
I
that,
hate it more than I love it.
I don't wanna get in trouble with those guys, but let's just say,
Alan, if you could pass the mic.
Well, he's,
Okay. You know, it's
He's
interesting,
full.
you've got a nice, this deal. We had a concept to do this within a corporation about 15 years ago. What we were doing is we were rolling up companies and then providing all these services for them, so the money stayed within.
sure.
You've got tremendous potential here. One of the things that we did also that I know you want to build what you've got here, right? But thinking in terms of providing cell phone service for them also, you can work deals with the cell phone companies. And you can
Where's my
provide that
cell
too.
phone guy? Where's the guy that came in here with the like 3 hours cell? I'm driving him crazy because I talked to him and I'm
So
like,
you're even thinking about that.
yeah, I said to him, I said, you know, I've got literally hundreds, working on thousands of individual clients. And he's not here today, or I'd bug him some more. But that deal he's got, there's a way to take that thing and just go crazy with it, that you're right.
behind
Can
you.
you pass that behind on your right, please?
He's got.
I'll get you.
Oh, you only get one question.
With the Affordable Care Act,
Right.
groups over 50 lives still must comply, even though the mandates are eliminated. Does the platform help keep them in compliance?
Yes. Now, once you go over 50, life gets extremely exciting. It's because it's not 50. If it were 50, it'd be different. But you could have 40 people and still blow past that number and have to do the compliance. All the compliance stuff's built into the HR system. So that's all out there. The other part to watch out for under ACA is, you and I have had this discussion, if you're a restaurant, I don't know any restaurant, I might know 2 that have like 15 people. They have lots of people on the payroll, lots of people out there that they rotate in, rotate out, and it blows their numbers out, and they can't afford to buy health insurance. Yeah, not really true. But what they can afford to do, especially small to medium ones, is what Community Doctors does, which is for, 10 cents an hour? Give them something to help these people get covered. But believe me, I just got to know before I came here today, ACA goes up 10% this year, in case you missed the movie.
You pass one of those mics behind you. Pass one behind you. There we go. You may be over.
Hi, Mario, thank you for your presentation. I have 2 questions, if I may. The first one is, I didn't understand if this presentation was intended just to create awareness, or if this is a marketing, or if you're intending to use it for sales, investors, etc. So that for me is a bit lost in terms of what exactly was the objective, regardless of a really nice, clean presentation. The second piece is really related to, you mentioned it, and my takeaway from a lot of your comments regarding localization. We're here, we're alumni, your growth strategy of starting small, learning from that. I hear that it's a lot of people touch, and my concern would be, what about digitalization codifying a lot of that? Because in terms of scaling to what this could be, how do you now bring into that a strength that Silicon Valley will bring with that investor community? How do you now take all of that human intelligence, codify it, whether it's through AI, machine learning, cognitive computing? Where do you see that potentially affecting your business model?
Okay, first one, your first part of the question, all the above except investors. I don't need any investors. Now, if you've got a few million, you hit the lottery, come on down, we'll be happy to talk. But that was the whole premise. Initially, we were gonna go do that so that we could do certain things faster, okay? But then it dawned on us, we can get this. I'm more of a ready, fire, aim person. When I want this thing moving now, okay? I don't wanna wait for the perfect situation, because there is no perfect situation, that's pure fiction. All right, so you actually had the best question, because somebody asked me this the other day. Okay, how do you crank it up? The purpose of the next 60 days, 90 days, 6 months after that, is to get prepared, because again, we do business in 28 states on the insurance side. To add the payroll in, that's a doable thing. We asked that question when they brought the software to us. Look, if we crank this in 50 states, are you ready? And they're like, yeah, we're ahead of you. So I did 27 years in IT. I'm the former VP of Stromberg, who did the world's largest selling installable time and attendance system. It's called Time in a Box, okay? We knew the paychecks, guys. We knew the 80. I've already been down that road. So as the folks who work in my office will tell you, there's 2 things we focus on. One's called SOU, sense of urgency. If you don't have one, I will give you one. And that's true. Yes. And the other is, it's right up on the board. It's on the board, everywhere we have a board, there's SOU and there's CAR, Client Acquisition or Retention. We're not just looking to go get you, we want to keep you forever, because we only make tiny bits of money by keeping you. Retention is a monster in my world.
So real quick, to answer his question on your behalf, he's talking about codifying, so how do you make sure that what you're doing is duplicatable across all of the clients that you're going to have? That's what William's gonna help you with, okay? Because again, if you're X out of the picture, you need to make sure that all the clients are taken care of, and if you have a new person coming in, how do you onboard them to make sure they know what that needs to get done? It's all right there with Proper Channel, which is why I love them.
Yeah, if you haven't looked at that, you need to look at that, because your biggest worry if you work in our organization is that I go out and walk across the street and get ran over, because that would be bad for everybody. So, yeah, his stuff is that's the one that bugs me every day. I gotta get his.
You have to do it, because all of your documentation's right there. You can find everything that you need. And then to answer Rupert's question about, why you, your understanding of insurance because of investments and whatnot, for me, it's being able to sleep at night to know that my HR and everything's being taken care of from a perspective of insurance and what you do. So I love the fact that you bring that level of expertise. I appreciate that.
That was our big thing. We did insurance. Those venture guys, if you haven't dealt with venture guys, you have to understand, they're gonna have 90 deals die to get 10 deals to work, okay? And they will throw bazillions of dollars of somebody else's money at one, but the one that hits is gonna be huge, okay? So we felt that the insurance expertise put us way ahead of it, plus our new payroll.
Okay. So Don, this is great. So my question is around PEOs. Have you got this question yet about where you guys fit in that competitive matrix? Because right now, literally, with Sherlock, this is a scenario that we're looking at as we look to bring people on. So what is it between you and PEOs? Like, what's the difference, competitive advantage, like, why?
Waving my PEO buddy in the back. Yeah, I've dealt with PEOs forever and ever and ever. Professional employer organizations, employee leasing, if you don't know what that is, there is a place that they play in that marketplace. They're not for everybody. We have the capability. We can do one of two things. We can either work with someone like my friend in the back, or we have the capability to create our own, meaning that within the structure of insurance, one of the organizations that we work with already has a platform built. We just plug the people in. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly why we haven't done that. It's a pain in the butt. PEOs, there's a lot of regulatory stuff, there's a lot of moving parts, and from our end of it, I don't want to mess with that. And I think we've got enough of a market to chase that. I don't need to worry about it today. But we're more than aware of it.
Okay. So final question, what can we as a community do to help you?
Well, you get to do two things for us. Number one, keep bringing in fantastic people like
Me.
like
Juliana.
Like, the guys from Hertz and the guys from and because we're looking to pick up locally, like you say, we can work with somebody here and kind of tune what they're trying to do that works for us. And that's been great for us. And then the second thing is, we're going to go look for some folks, and we're going to need to bring them up to speed fairly quickly. And so in this marketplace today, real tough to find good people. It's always tough to find good people.
Don Kirkendall, everybody. All right, not a bad start, huh? Don had his stuff together because he knew we were going to be after him. So, yes, announcement time. Let's see here. I had one from the committee meetings this morning. So guys, we are planning on May 22nd, that's 2 weeks from today, to actually do a panel discussion with co-working spaces and incubator spaces in town. So if I remember correctly, forgive me as I get older, one of the asks of the audience today was if you have relationships with the co-working spaces, let them know that we're planning this discussion for the 22nd. It's really important.
You literally are representing what's going on in here, so please talk about what we're doing and tell them that we're all really excited about connecting the dots with the incubator. So, please let them know if you're going there, that we talk about all of them.
Yeah, as you guys see in the crowd this morning, we have a full house. It is beneficial to those spaces to be here, and part of that panel discussion is we work to better hub, I guess, Orlando and kind of the entrepreneur ecosystem. So.
Awesome.
Hey, it's time. Good round of applause for Josh and Scott, everybody. talk about their event coming up for May.
Thank you very much.
The brothers from the.
Morning, guys.
Yeah.
We are not brothers.
God damn it, we are not brothers. And I'm not Josh.
That's me. So what are we doing here?
What are we doing? Well, we're having Volition in Motion, which is our monthly networking event and learning event on May 23rd, Thursday, May 23rd, 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. here in Winter Park, Florida, just down the road, just down Lee Road.
And we're taking a different slant this time. We're actually bringing comedy to personal development.
Wait. We're taking personal development to comedy.
That's what I said. Comedy to personal development.
No,
Exactly.
personal development to comedy.
Whatever. It's like the peanut butter and the chocolate. It's going to get messy, but it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to taste good. We're going to have fun doing it. So bring a lot of business cards. Bring something to take notes with.
And we're going to be talking about, this month we're talking about likability. It's extremely important, both in business and in life, to be likable. And likability is actually a skill, and it can be learned. And so we're going to talk about that and ways and tools, give you some tools to help you become more likable. Because we all want to be more likable, right?
Right.
Right?
Right? Especially if you're in sales. It's about being likable and being trustworthy. But you don't get a chance to be trustworthy if you're not first likable. So that's the first step.
All right, so as Rupert likes to say, who's ready to get learned?
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Do you have any other announcements that we need to talk about? Any other announcements?
Are we good?
Nope, Jackie's got
Jackie, sorry. 1 second, Michael. Hang on 1 second.
Okay.
This always happens. Jackie.
Factor Fridays are now a thing. Like I really needed this. Okay, Factor Fridays are now a thing. On the fourth Fridays of every month, Factor at 520 Virginia Drive, down in Ivanhoe Village, will be presenting a little evening of fun. You will see our crafters on different machines, laser, CNC, you'll see glass blowing, 3D printing, probably some sewing or leather work. It depends on who's going to be there that night. They'll be showing off and selling, as well as we'll have a food truck. We'll have some adult beverages, and I don't know, I could probably go on and say, we'll have, the first one we'll have musicians from Brazil, the Brazilian experience. And so it should be fun. So come on out. We'll be there until 10. We'll probably start around 4 in the afternoon.
So real quick, Jackie, can you just describe what a makerspace is, which is what Factor is?
Makerspace is a place where people can come in, rent, have a membership to use our machinery, to create. It's an innovative place. It's a place for entrepreneurs.
Printers, special sewing machines, help blow glass.
Right, all that stuff. Metal, we have a metal shop, a wood shop, complete.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, Jackie. If you guys have questions, introduce Jackie before you leave.
Okay,
I think we're good now,
and
right?
then
So, I'll try again. So, because I missed that one. Thank you. As Rupert likes to say, who's ready to get learned? You want to learn them? You ready to learn them, Rupert?
We're fixing to learn them.
We're fixing to learn them. Michael Coles, come on down. Give everyone a round of applause. All right, Michael, that mic is for you.
Thank you.
Here is the clicker. All right, we're going to put 6 minutes on the clock for you. As soon as your presentation is up.
Don't forget the sound and the leg. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. See?
No, you've got,
All right.
you've got,
Well, let's make that note.
All right, Michael, here we go.
Here we go. Hi, good morning. My name is Mike Coles, and I'm with Choose Your Reader. So I've done a lot of these Million Cups events, and the whole thing about Choose Your Reader and about these Million Cups events is you got to get a big idea. What's the big idea? Before I tell you the idea, though, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. So who am I? I'm a lawyer, I'm a screenwriter, and I'm also now a children's book author, publisher. All right. Now those things don't make sense. They're not related. Exactly right. They don't make sense, but it does. I'm a storyteller. It doesn't matter if I'm telling your story to a jury, putting a story on a screen, or putting a story in a book. That's what I do, and I'm very proud of my ability to tell a story. But more important than that, I'm very, very proud of the fact that I'm a dad, and I've been able to really take that storytelling experience and use that as a father. That's been amazing for me. But I'm a divorced dad, so I don't really get the chance to spend every night with my son doing that classic bedtime story. So that is where I got the big idea. I wanted to be able to have that storytelling experience with my son. So here's my storytelling skill. True story. My son says to me, I'm putting him to bed. I said, okay, let's get a book for reading. He says, no, Dad, make up a story tonight. Now, he doesn't realize I'm a storyteller. You're in my sweet spot, kid. All right? So I said, all right, give me 3 things you want in your story. And he said, golf ball, soccer ball, and a baseball. And I said, okay, now you're pushing it. So let's figure that out. So that night I told him this story from good to bad to great. All right, now tell him the story. Who's got kids? Who has kids? Now you tell a story, they like it, they want it again, right? And again. Except I didn't remember it, so I had to go write it down, right? So now I've got this whole process of writing the stories down as I'm making them up, and I'm able to now call them back up on my phone. And then the kid, he pushes the envelope one more time. Dad, where are the pictures? All right, I'm a storyteller. Not an illustrator, kid. So that's not gonna work. Now I gotta go out and I gotta hire an illustrator? Well, yeah, I did. So now I've got these books that have been written by me and illustrated, and I've put all this time and energy into it. What am I gonna do with it? Yeah, I'm gonna go publish these books. I'm gonna hire an agent, I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna take 10 years and someone's gonna look at it probably in 12, all right? Or I'm gonna self-publish it. I'm gonna be on the road, traveling around and doing all these different events, trying to get people to buy my book, and that takes me away from my kid. That's the whole thing I'm trying to get away from. I want this to be about a relationship with my son, and that's the big idea. How do I take these books that I wrote and created and make them useful for my son? And the aha moment was, it's not just about me, right? There are a lot of people who are actually not necessarily going to be with their kid, right? Divorced parents, they're obviously gonna have these issues, but there are other people that have these issues, right? Grandparents don't live with their kids, right? With the grandkids, so they're not around. You've got people who are in, traveling for work, whether they're in the military, they're working late, it doesn't matter. If you're all these different lifestyles that you've got where people are away from the kid at bedtime, okay? These people want to be there and have this experience, and that to me is why I said they need Choose Your Reader. And so that's why I had to build this platform. So, we launched. January 1st of this year, we launched our beta, got it out there in the market for 90 days, tested it out, it works. So I want you to have a chance to actually see it in motion. So I'm gonna run through this here. Quickly log in, so this is live, right? This is what it looks like today. You log in, you go to a story, you click a story, there's from good to bad to great. The key to it is, if you know karaoke, you can use this. You press the record button, the words highlight on the screen on your phone. You read out loud, it records your voice. You are building an audio book with your voice for your kid, or your grandkid, or your niece or nephew, whoever it is. Page by page, you are able to record each page of the story. If you make a mistake, the doorbell rings, you get a phone call, you go back and you record that one page. Nobody wants to get to page 9 and have to start all over, right? So that was one of the challenges that we had to solve from a technology standpoint. So we got in there and we had this thing built. I'm not gonna take you through the whole thing. Trust me, it's good to bad to great, but it's great, right? So if you wanna check it out, you can check it out on the app, but I'll skip ahead here in a second just so that you can get a sense of what happens at the end, because that's the real magic of this app. So you get down to the end of this story, you're gonna have a finished recording. In this instance, you've got a 10-page book, not very long, take you a few minutes, you save it, and now you've got this actually locally stored on your phone, and you can share it with any other phone. So now, if you're in Florida, but the kid's in Seattle, if you're in literally England, right, and you wanna share it with someone who's in Brazil, you can do that. You can share it by text or by email. And so now you've got this kid who's building his or her own library of the voices and the stories, connecting them with people in their lives. All right, so a couple of things, right? This was my revenue model when I started out, right? I said I want to do this per story and then move up, and then I realized I'm able to accelerate this. So we were looking at 2020 to go to a subscription model. We're doing that July 1st. So we are moving fairly quickly here. So now, how can you help me do this, right? The key that I need is to really, first of all, sharing the app, telling people about it. That's important, but that's not really a major customer acquisition strategy, is going around with 1 million cups, 35, 40 people at a time. What I really need, though, is authors. I need content, all right? So we are mining the public domain. So we've got Mother Goose, and we've got the Grimm Brothers, and we've got Sherlock Holmes coming out later this month. But we want to have some original works out there as well. So we want to do that. So we wanted to launch 20 stories in Q1. We launched 30. We wanted to have foreign language stories. We've got 3 languages now. We're going to be at 6 by the end of June. And then we wanted to have the ability to search and categorize stories. That also launched the beginning of April. So we've been able to take all of our Q1 goals and knock them out of the park, and so we're moving on now. Q2 is all about refining the app, and so we're going to have an even smoother, nicer user interface that comes out here at the end. So a couple of things. These are some of the books that I've written for my son that you can see. And again, it was all part of the process. So as I mentioned, we've got some other stuff. We've even got some Old Testament stuff that's coming out. We've got some mythology works. So we're really looking at expanding this universe. We anticipate being at about 100 books by the end of Q2. All right, so people ask me, Mike, what are you doing here? Are you creating a tech company? Are you a content creator by writing all these books? Or are you a content publisher? And the short answer is Choose Your Reader is all of those things. Thank you very much.
Great job. So the photo question, how many 1 million cups have you done now? What number is it?
Let's run the numbers.
Gobs.
Dozen?
Dozen?
Yeah.
Hey, that's good, right? We love to see that when people tour. So thank you for being here today. Let's go to Josh. First question.
Hey, great presentation. I'm an author. How does this work for me if I want to contribute? What's the process, and do I get something? Do I get compensation? How does that whole process work?
Yeah. Rule 1, I told you I'm a writer, I'm a lawyer, and I'm a dad. Rule 1 when I built this was satisfy all 3 of those roles in my life. If I make a decision in the company, I need to be comfortable in all 3 of those. So as an author, absolutely I'm paying you, all right? And so yes, what we do is we pay you an annual license for your work. So you get the money from us for the year. You don't have to worry about per download. If you know anything about authors, part of the challenge in that universe is keeping up with how many books were actually sold. Eliminate that. License it for 1 year, there's your fee, and we're rolling. The other thing to keep in mind is typical book publishing takes how long to get to a shelf. One book on one shelf takes 18 months, 24 months. If you want to illustrate it, $25,000 to $35,000, one book, one shelf. It takes me $1,000, 60 days. I'm in 150 countries, 6 languages.
I'm also an author, so especially with some of the kids stuff. The question is now, I've got the stories. Do you have the illustrators? You do have the illustrators? Oh my God,
that's right. We have an entire. So if you look back, what I did was I refused to have one illustrator illustrate multiple books in the beginning. What I was doing was I was taking the experience and vetting each illustrator myself, so you don't have the risk anymore. Now you can look at the books that are already illustrated and say, I like book X. We know who illustrated it. We go to them and they do your book.
Josh, we're going to have a lot of fun here.
Oh yeah, and I know some illustrators also.
Awesome. Yeah.
Hi, I want to say this is great. I used to make up stories for my kids every night, and every night it's a different story. Like, I don't know where I come up with ideas, but it was awesome. They loved it. So this is like, oh my God, this is awesome. Somebody thought about that. Question is, like, are you able to do dual? Like, have maybe the mom and the dad do the reading, go back and forth, or, you know.
So let's take that question specifically. So first, can the child have 2 books? Can they have Jack and the Beanstalk twice? Absolutely. But can the child have Jack and the Beanstalk page after page bouncing between? Well, only if mom and dad physically move the device between them. We don't have a way to blend 2 different recorded stories. We've got some proprietary technology that creates that synced pagination, so we couldn't merge 2 stories. We don't have that. So, but if the 2 parents are exchanging the device, or if the kid wants, and we do intend for the kid to have Jack and the Beanstalk 10 times by the 10 adults in his or her life that matter most, absolutely.
Okay, the second question is, are you able to do avatars, like, for the story? Like, if I want, you know, to have my face avatar in there so that it's more customized, like, maybe the cover of the story, or, you know, under Choose Your Reader part,
Yeah, so we have never looked at creating an avatar. What we have thought about is creating a video at the end of the story, right? Where you record yourself. One of the important things for me is that this is a literacy tool and a language tool. And that's when I said the 3 hats I have. That's my dad hat, is that I don't want this to just be entertainment. I want my child to grow and learn. And so when I built the platform, the key to the karaoke style was if you know how kids learn to read, they learn by you pointing at the words as you go along. So I wanted to integrate that experience, but again, when you're not physically there. Because my priorities are education and relationship building, I have really pushed back what I'm going to call customization individually by the user, except for the notion that we can add that video at the end so they can see mom, dad, grandma, grandpa as they're finishing that story.
I am here.
I don't know where
What are the, what are the 6 languages that you have right now?
So today we have English, Spanish, and French. Those are knocked out. We're looking at now adding Mandarin, Hindi, and German.
The reason why I ask is, we also promote on the Japanese side because, as you said, a lot of the Japanese families, they work so much, they don't get to hear their dad. And literally, the country is suffering from where the dad sees them asleep in the morning and sees them asleep at night. This would be a major help on there. I know that it's hard to get the Japanese language, but I can see a big market for it right there.
It's actually incredibly easy to get the Japanese language for us. I mentioned I'm a lawyer. Part of my practice is immigration law. So I had a host of translation resources available to me right out of the gate. So when I needed to do translations, I went to those resources and got those things. So I can actually get it in Japanese before the end of this month if we chose. It takes us less than 30 days to get a language up and running.
Okay, let's go here, right here.
So you mentioned how you have multiple people in this child's life telling the same story, and you want those stories to be saved. Is that categorized? Do you have different ways to kind of put them into their own folder? And this is mom. These are the books from mom. These are the books from dad. Or are they all just flowing in one area?
So from the reader's standpoint, we're looking at it as an adult who understands categories and searches and all of that. So as the adult, it is very much like a Netflix experience. You've got categories, and then you can also search if you want Cinderella, and you don't want to try to figure out, you don't know that it's a Grimm fairy tale. You just type Cinderella, Cinderella comes up. So that's the adult side. The child side is not that way because kids don't necessarily at that age understand organizational structure the same way. They just have a search, and they can start to type in Cinderella. And again, the universe, we got literally 100 books, but the kids are not going to have 100 books. So they're going to get Cinderella, and then 4 icons will pop up, and it will say Cinderella, and then it's mom, it's dad, it's whomever, and they can pick from there. We anticipate that there will, again, because it's a mobile device, the kid will have an adult readily available to help. It's not that we expect the kids to be off on their own, essentially using the device without adult supervision. So we expect that the adults will be there to help them navigate that. But then as the child grows, if you know kids, right, they're able to manipulate devices better than some adults, ultimately. So ultimately, the kid will be able to do all of those different search functions, but initially, they would not necessarily be able to, especially as the younger ages. We really, again, screen time is an important thing for me as a dad. So we really do not advocate using the device under 2. So really, once they get over 2, they're in the 3, and now going up to 7, 9. That's the age group that we would think is the most appropriate for the device.
Question here.
Is this mic on?
I can hear you regardless.
I think everyone can hear me. I'm very loud. It seems to be a missing component here. You said it was a literacy tool, and it would be so much more if the kids themselves read their own stories. And so the question is, for whom are they reading stories? It would be their peers, and that kids could almost have a social network as a platform sharing stories that they have read between themselves. This it sets up the expectation that Choose Your Reader would be a platform. And this is to say, while each child has only one grandparent, or 2, or 4, depending on how you look at it, grandparents have 16, 17 grandchildren, depending on how many kids they have. And so the Choose Your Reader could go viral if people could share socially all of the stories between all the people that want to hear those readers. Have you thought of that, and how would you take this to a social network platform?
So I'm going to carve that into two parts. The first part, we're absolutely thinking about the child as a reader. So one of our next marketing campaigns is basically talking about grandma read to you, now you're older, you want to read to her, right? And so that's part of that whole process, is getting the child as they get older and more skilled at reading to become readers to the people in their lives, because the platform is not forcing you to be a child or an adult in the way you use it. The platform is entirely one set of operations that are available. In terms of social networking, I have not frankly looked at trying to create this social networking piece. Part of my concern is that the age of the users is fairly low. And so again, I'm a dad. There's no ads in this app. Why? I don't want you marketing to my kid, I'm not gonna market to your kid. Similarly, in order to get a story on the app, an adult has to receive the story. Why? I don't want strangers sending my kids stories, so I'm not gonna send your kids stories from strangers, right? So there's a lot of what I call parental control that's built into it. As a parent, I really wanted that.
So you mentioned that you've been around a dozen 1 million cups, okay? Just FYI, when you go through the approval process to present at 1 million cups, then you're automatically accepted to all 180 others.
I'm not going to get that.
All right, I understand. But it would be fun. So my question is, this was a good presentation. There's some things that I didn't see, financial and whatever, but it's a good presentation. Has this presentation evolved since the first presentation? And
oh yeah.
How has this journey helped you develop your idea?
So the first presentation I did was on January 2nd of this year in Charlotte. And my son lives in North Carolina. I live in Dallas, and so I commute every other week to North Carolina, and that's kind of the big part of building that relationship and then building the app. So I go to Charlotte, I do the presentation, and I start getting some ideas. And so if you look at the way the app looks today, it's incredibly different than the way it looked back then, on January 2nd. On that day, I announced some goals. Those are the goals that I showed you that we've been able to meet, but there were some new goals that sort of emerged as part of this process. So the first 90 days were all about, one, validation in the market, and then number two, getting different refinements for the product. And so we're actually going to be launching here just in about 10 days, our third version, and that will be sort of the final moment of, we feel like we have done everything that we can to really say that this is the smoothest, cleanest interface that we have. So many of those ideas came out of 1 Million Cups presentations. I have to say, and it was invaluable. People would come up to me and they would say, you gotta have a Facebook login, right? I didn't have a Facebook login. I got a Facebook login, right? People would come up to me and say, oh gosh, this would be great if you could have it so that, one of the people said, I want to be able to record these stories, and then I want to be able to have them forever, because maybe I'm gone, right? Or maybe, and so the next thing you know, we built a server and set up a pricing model that will allow you to keep your stories literally for as long as we exist as a company. That thing will be available to you. So people also raised concerns about security from an IT standpoint. I went out and hired an IT guy, and he's doing some security and stress testing this month on the app. So all the different questions that come up as you're raising them, social networking, I hadn't considered that. I'll still look at it and how do I integrate my concerns as a parent with the value of a social networking platform. So yeah, absolutely, this has been great.
Let's come over here to Carlos and then we'll go back.
Yeah, just picture this in your mind for a minute. There is this video going on, right? And this video is talking about this lawyer that he went through the process of getting divorced. It was something extremely painful for him that it took him to create this app. Because he was able to see the pain in all these inmates, he started giving this app for free to them so they can have that for their kids. And always remember that the best advertising and marketing is gotta come from your pain, because you're the best avatar. So don't lose that, because that pain is the one that created this. That's the number one. And then the number two thing that I wanted to mention to you is, what about for the future? What do you think about, just remember, you created these because you were trying to create these stories, to create something that as a father, I start creating these stories, making up these stories for my kid, a day that they can go and kind of set it with little cartoons or you know what I mean, like to pick and put them in different places so they create their own, just for the future. So
I have looked at a create your own story concept. I don't intend to do that in this space, but it's certainly something we've looked at. We did file a patent for the technology behind this, and so we are looking at a number of ways to sort of replicate that technology and deploy it in new platforms. So I don't know that I intend to go that route, but it's certainly a question that I've gotten multiple times. So it's in the head here, rolling around. Who knows what's going to roll out?
Mike, over here. Thanks so much for your presentation. It was really phenomenal. As a father myself, I can sort of attest to the value of this. I had one question and one comment. Firstly, along the lines of this idea of social networking, I just want to make sure I understand. As a parent, so you said a parent will vet what stories their children get to see. Do you actually have the opportunity, rather than creating your own story, but to look through a library of other stories that other parents have created and decide, well, okay, I'm not going to record this one myself, I just want to share this. Is it open in that regard? And then I'll comment after.
We can do that. So I had a conversation with an actor who was a voice of a character on Sesame Street. And we talked a little bit about it. And so there's a thought about creating a choose your reader specific character that reads all the books, as one example. Now, the thing is, that's definitely not relationship building anymore, right? But it's still literacy, it's still language development, right? I don't know, like my son speaks 3 languages, right? 2 of which I don't speak. 2 of which no one else in the family speaks, to be honest, right? But he's picking them up, right? And so the language acquisition component, we thought about having the ability for the child to develop linguistic skills outside of their native or home language and providing that content for them so that if you want your kid to learn Spanish and you don't speak Spanish, you don't need to go out and find a Spanish speaker and say, hey, will you read to my kid? We'll provide someone who's done that for you.
But in the other piece, I love what you're doing about creating an opportunity for the children to tell stories as well. If I can give you just a quick story. I have 2 sons, and my younger one, when he was 5, was in kindergarten, and his teacher was struggling to get him to write even the most basic sentence. I started reading to him Chronicles of Narnia as I read to his brother. He got into it, decided he wanted to start telling those stories in his own words. That led to him writing not just sentences, but books, going on to doing animations, and is now actually a nationally recognized award-winning filmmaker.
Congratulations.
Oscar graduate out of Winter Park going to film school. So there's something really powerful in getting kids telling stories, but that I think it's rooted in them hearing really well those stories. I really applaud what you do.
Thank you.
Okay, so last one real quick, back here.
You keep mentioning that this is an app now. Do you have plans in the future to make it available on other platforms just besides an app? Because that is, a barrier to getting access. Is it available on the web or other platforms?
So to be specific, what we have looked at is what I'm going to call television-based, right? So smart TVs, Apple TV, that sort of thing. We could put it on the web. It's certainly not, it's easier, frankly, than getting it into a mobile app, right? Programming from a web standpoint is much easier. So I've thought about it, but the experience that I like is the kid holding the device and feeling connected to the person who's got the voice. So I'm not resistant to it and saying no, but it's certainly not a high priority. But it is certainly something that's come up more than once before about having it on the web. But I think my prior sort of commitment to an educational experience, because we want to take this into schools. So schools that have smart TVs and other kinds of access to apps in a way that is not just a handheld device, we want to be able to deliver that experience in the institutional environment of a school before we look at just a standard web interface. That's been our priority today.
Just a quick comment is we develop voice-enabled applications, and this would lend itself very easily to that. So happy to talk to you about
Yeah, let's talk then, absolutely.
Mike, last one. How can we as a community help?
Yeah, so I need that sort of connective piece, right? One of the things that I've done is I've done 12 of these, is I've traveled to specific locations where I thought that my target audience might reside. And my target audience is one of three types: teachers or school administrators of any sort. If you know anyone in that capacity, I would love to have them connected. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you search Choose Your Reader, or just come down and I'll help you connect with us on there. But we want to connect with teachers and school administrators, one. Two, we want to connect with military families. So we've got a write-up coming up in a Military Families magazine that I just learned about. So we want to have that. And then the last thing is that we'd like to be able to connect to any kind of what I'll call senior living communities of any sort. We want to get this into those communities as well. So if you've got relationships of any of those three, let's talk.
Mike Coles, everybody. Choose Your Reader. Good job. Great Q&A. So guys, how did we do today? Good? Everybody enjoy it? If you are new and you come back, bring 5 friends. We'll see you next Wednesday here for 1 Million Cups, networking at 8:30, event at 9. Thank you guys for coming. Have a great day. Thank you.
Yeah, right.